Hello again. You know, I've talked about how when I was young, my older brother and I used to climb up to the top of tall trees and jump to the next tree and then climb up and jump to the next tree and go for 100 yards or more across the woods. I love that stuff. I ain't going to do it today, but I love that I did it. You know, I had to make the toys I wanted, use my imagination to make things, curtain rods, so slide together curtain rods. Made great toy swords. Of course you get in trouble because you tear them up, but they made great toy swords when I was a kid. Not once did any of us in the house ever get a plastic toy sword that I recall. I certainly didn't. We had to use our imagination to come up with stuff, as opposed to someone whose mommy always goes out and buys them every toy they want, and they get 100 different things at Christmas, and they're totally bored with them in 2 weeks. Yeah, we didn't have any of that. But it was beneficial. It built things into us. It built a certain baseline into us that kids that grow up in the city that don't have space outside for their imagination to flourish in, they just have their bedroom and the screen of their video game. And it gave us courage to face challenges and face situations. You know, I've talked to a number of people that I've worked with. I've talked to people I know that are about my age that grew up in other circumstances, that went to kindergarten. You know what? I didn't go to kindergarten. When I was 5 years old, my mom's in the house on the telephone, and I'd gotten a hold of one of her curtains, and I took it out, and I had string, and I tied string to the corner, all four corners of this curtain, and I got up on the barn, and I tied the other end tied the strings together and tied it around just below my shoulders, around my armpits, and I jumped off of the roof of the barn, trying to make a parachute that would work. And I'm telling you, it didn't work. But I have the experience to prove that it didn't work. And I bring that into the adult life, and I have a different way of looking at problems and coming up with solutions. And I can't tell you how many grown men I've worked with that look at a basic problem like a cow in a new gate and have no clue how to solve it because they didn't grow up establishing the baseline that I did for coming up with solutions. And basically, I've come to the point to where I'll talk to people I work with, and I'll get an assessment whether they're the kind of kid that built his own parachute and jumped off the barn trying to make it work or not. And if he didn't, I don't trust even his perspective of what the problem in front of us is, let alone any solutions he comes up with.